Welcome to a reading vlog. I just got home from the library. I will have a full library haul. It was pretty chaotic, unfortunately. It should probably be up on the channel before this. I have no idea if I'm going to do this one book at a time or just do an entire reading vlog for all of the library books that I just got. I think I'm going to start reading first Faebound, because this, out of all of the books I picked up, will probably be the closest I would be able to actually use as a comp based on the description of it. And this is a perfect opportunity to use as a comp because it is such a recent release. And from the description, it does have so many things and elements that are also in my story, which would be very helpful when I go to start querying this book after I finish editing my third draft, once I get my beta feedback and everything from beta readers. So I'm really excited to start reading. I've been taking a little break. I do have trouble continuing to read while I write, so I haven't really finished a book in about a month and a half. Maybe not that long. I can't really remember. I'm very excited to just spend most of the rest of today reading this book. I've been itching to read some things. I even received an ARC this past week that I had almost finished. I got like 50% through, and unfortunately it ended up being a DNF. The ARC itself had a slur in it, and it wasn't like the first time something was mentioned, I got an ick, and then the second time it was an actual slur. And I was like, oh no. And it kind of ruined the rest of the story for me. Like, even though the premise was okay and the writing was okay, I was just like, I can't do it. Like, I don't want to write a review for this. I don't want to encourage other people to read it, especially because the slur was regarding a disability and I am disabled, and I was just like, I am gonna pass. So it's kind of like, overall, I've had a bad taste in my mouth when it comes to trying to read for the month of June, and it's almost July. So I'm really hoping that these 4 books that I picked up from the library will turn things around for me, and we can start to have a better time together. So if you're excited for a little reading vlog, join me and we'll read things together. I gotta set up my bed so I can have the sun from my window so I can read and see the words without having to turn on lights, because it's hot as Hades in here. It's so hot. Anyway, I'm just stalling because I'm like very excited, and I feel like I don't do a great job at reading vlogs because I don't really know what to film, and I don't have a super aesthetic room. Like, this is the shot. If you want to see my room, this is it. But when you want to show that you're reading the book and all these like cute, like getting your coffee and making your tea, like I make my tea, or I don't make tea at all. I make coffee in the morning to have it with my Cheerios, and it's well into the afternoon now. So we'd have to wait until tomorrow for a shot of coffee, but maybe if I remember, I'll get it in there for you. I don't know. Anyway, if you like watching reading vlogs, let me know what shots you like to watch the most, and I'll try and include them in my next one. Or if I include them in this one, great. Anyway, I'm gonna lay down because I've been out, and then I filmed the haul, and that's too much for me today. So I need to lay down. I need to give my incisions from my surgery a break, and we need to just chill together. Let's do it. Oh, I need to pick out a bookmark. Let's go do that first. Okay, we're going on a little adventure. So I don't know if you knew this about me, but I make bookmarks, okay? And so I have a whole stack of my own bookmarks that I save that I don't end up selling. Let me put you down really quickly. Oh, can you fit here? Hold on. Okay, so this whole stack is bookmarks that I have decided to keep from ones that I make. So I do make K-pop bookmarks. This is S-Coops from 17. We have Hyunjin and Chan, and also Felix on the back. And then it's a lot. It is a lot of Stray Kids because they are my alt group. But I kind of need to pick. Oh, look at how cute they are. I need to pick, oh God, hold on. Sasha, get it together. Where were we? Here-ish. My Christmas ones. It's not Christmas time, so we're not going to use a Christmas one. Although I have used Christmas ones, not during Christmas. And then these are all the ones that I drew myself before I started making upcycled ones. And then if we come to the end, I have other groups. That's Sangyeon from the boys. Then we have Taeyang from NCT. I am, and oh my gosh. Hold on. Shonu, Minhyuk, Ki-hyung, Hyungwon. Wow! Hyungwon is my other bias, whose name I literally forgot. Haechan! And then Mingyu, Kim Mingyu from 17 again, who should be our Faebound bookmark. Oof, this one is maybe calling my name. Sailor Chan. I also try and use a bookmark that I think will match the vibe of the book, but I don't really know what the vibe's gonna be yet. I feel like a red would go really well with this. Maybe I'll just use, well, Chan does have red in this. Maybe I will look, I might cheat. Hold on. Okay, I did cheat. I took Honey, Drew Honey One Honey from Monsta X from my Fatal Love collection. He is still for sale, but I'm going to use him for this book because it's the perfect colors and I think it's the vibe. So let's go see if I'm right. Let's put them next to each other and find out. I mean, I think I nailed it. What do we think? It's not exactly the same red. This is a little more orangey, but it is pretty close. Like, that's not a bad match there. So that's my bookmark. Now I can start reading. Hello, friends. It has been a few hours. It is about to storm. It's kind of been storming on and off. Very thunder, very rainy. Good weather, honestly, to read. I'm currently, are you on? Yes. I'm currently on page 116, chapter 14. I am enjoying the story so far. but I'm noticing a lot of things about me in general. Like, this is my first book that I'm trying to read after finishing my own draft, and all my brain is doing is going, oh, I love how they used that word. I love that description. Look at the time they took in between the dialogue to do this. Look at all of the ways that they described the setting. Like, I am just seeing it in the way that I've been trying to analyze my own writing instead of just enjoying it and being like, getting swept up in the story and getting lost in it. My brain is just like, I can do that to make my book better. I can add more setting. I can add more descriptions. I can discuss this character's backstory in this different way. And I think I probably need to start taking some mental notes for when I get to draft 3. But I'm also just hoping that as I continue, my brain will just shut up. And I can just read this and enjoy it as its own thing and not a vessel to help me make my own writing better, because that's inherently going to happen. The more that you read, the more that you're just going to learn and understand. Reading helps you become a better writer, but writing truly is the only way to accomplish that goal, because, well, this will be stuff we can talk about in my drafting video. Let's keep this more of just a reading video. So far, there have only been like one major twist, and it was right in the beginning, and they laid out all of the hints that you would have needed, but I didn't piece it together. And that was like exciting for me to be like, oh dang, like that. I should have put that together, but they left just enough out. And I was trying to settle into the world of Thunder that I missed it. And that was kind of exciting, because I'm a reader who, it takes a lot for me to be shocked by something. A lot of times I can see things coming, and it doesn't ruin my reading experience, but I definitely don't get that like wow factor that some other readers might get. So for this book, like right in the beginning, to give me a little like, oh my gosh, didn't see that there, hello, that was fun. I'm definitely going to keep reading tonight. I'm not halfway yet, but we're making progress. Yeah, our main character, there's kind of 3 of them so far, and we have 2 points of view, also like my novel. It's 2 sisters. One of them is in the army, the other one has the visions and the prophecy, and then it's a guy who was like under the sister in the army. So those are our main characters so far. I always find sister stories interesting, or any sibling stories I think are fascinating, because I'm an only child, so I do like just seeing the different dynamics of like siblings who get along, siblings who argue, but the underlying thing, unless they're like actually a terrible human being, is that they all just love each other and would do anything for each other. And I just find it so fascinating, and I like reading about it. What else can I say about this story without spoiling it? I don't know. So far, there have been brief, graphic scenes of killing a fantasy animal. I didn't like those scenes. I don't like when we kill animals in stories. I don't like when we kill animals in real life. So that wasn't my favorite. But it is kind of coming full circle, because she's now in a lot of trouble. So I guess, well, I don't know, there were 2 graphic scenes so far of killing animals, fantasy animals. Not my cup of tea, and hopefully the whole rest of the book isn't just more of that. But even if it is, it's been interesting. I'm enjoying it so far. We have a main character who is a lesbian. We have had a character who is missing a leg, and he has like gold and plated replacement parts, is sort of how they described it. That was very cool. We have a lot of non-binary characters. We've had mentions of trans characters. I'm having a great time. They also talk about like corn rows, and skin color, and it's been very diverse and also very magical. That's the other thing I like, is that it's set up with a sort of like religious system where there were three gods, and the one god made humans, the other god made Fae, and the last god made the elves, and now all that's left are the elves. So I didn't even realize that going into this. I thought our characters were human. Even better, they're not. They're elves. So we have the elves facing off, well, with the Fae, obviously, because Faebound. Yeah, I'm gonna keep reading. That's where we're at right now. I probably won't come back until the end, unless I start crying at something, and then I'll probably insert a clip. So, see you next time. Hello, friends. So, it is. Can I? Here, literally on a tripod, and I'm still. Hold on. Okay, we're gonna make this work. I'm still reading this book. It is Another New Day. I'm on page 275. We're cruising. I know that looked terrible. The spine is fine, I promise. I might have some bad news. The good news though, I haven't finished it, so this isn't my final thoughts, but I'm coming to you because I don't know if I want to finish it. I'm going to, for the sake of the video, but I don't think I need to because I don't care. So let's get into the good news. The good news is the writing is so beautiful. The metaphors, the similes, the imagery, the descriptions, everything. Stunning. 100 out of 10. No notes. Actually, I'm taking notes because I love how it's written. I love the descriptions. It's fascinating to look at it from a craft perspective in that way. It reads, I don't know, it just reads beautifully. The story, however, the plot overall, despite it being like fae and elves and some magic, it's almost not fantasy enough for me, which is bizarre. It's kind of reading a little like slice of life, a little mundane, a little just like today they learned this, today they did this. Like, I know there are quote unquote high stakes involved, but I have no emotional connection to them. I am not worried. I am not like, oh no, they're trapped. I'm just like, we're still trapped. So, I'm not having the best time with this story, which is such a bummer because I've heard nothing but good things. And if we're just talking about the writing and the words on the page, I love them. They're so nice, they're so pretty. They are just, I don't have words to describe how good the words are. The story, I don't know that I care enough, and I don't know what's missing for me to care. And I'm trying to think back of like, okay, what do my favorite books have that this doesn't? And I just think it's not like over the top fantasy enough. And I think if you were reading this, you would disagree with me, but that's just where I'm stuck. So I am going to try and finish it. I'm on 275 and I have, let me see. Oh no, I have another 100 pages. Yeah, I'll probably try and finish it anyway. I don't know. Maybe the ending will totally change my mind. We'll see together. I think the book I want to read next is I'm looking at it over on my shelf, and it's kind of dark in here. Um, Three Kinds of Lucky by Kim Harrison. That's the one that stuck out the most in my brain as like, I really can't wait to see what this story is about. So I think I'm going to read that one next. But yeah, let me try and go finish this, and I'll come back to you with my final thoughts. See you there. Hello again. It's a new day. I'm on page 320, so I'm so close to being done. I have like 50 pages left, I think. I've spent the last like 12 hours going back and forth between TikTok and what's the other one? Twitter. The other T, I was gonna say Tumblr, and I was like, that's not right. That's way older. But even as I'm reading, I'm really struggling emotionally and with feelings of imposter syndrome as a writer. And I just wanted to talk about it because it's not something I've obviously experienced before because I've never tried to read a book, or I've never tried to write a book and then immediately after finishing a draft tried to read something new. And I'm seeing reviewers and people who talk about books online in an entirely new light. And there are a lot of reviewers I really respect. And I just keep wondering, like, when my book comes out, because it will, are they going to say, don't ever read this? I don't recommend it. No one should pick this up. Is that the fate of my book? And I know that reading and writing is so subjective, and every person is going to have their own opinion on a story. And I also know that for the most part, every author has poured their heart into their project. And so, even as a reviewer myself now, as I'm reading books, it's so hard for me to be reading this and to understand that the prose is so beautiful, but I'm still just like kind of bored. And it hurts to admit that and to say that because I know how hard it is to write a book. And for me to not like it is just like, I don't even want to admit that out loud. So I've been sitting here just thinking about all the ways I potentially need to change my book and to fix it. I was watching someone critique a problematic author and go through just list after list after list of all of these really detailed, really big problems that their two different series that I've read has in them. And like while I'm writing, I'm trying to ensure that my characters and my story overall will not come off as problematic. There's no guarantee that I'm going to get that right. Even if I do have sensitivity readers and even if I do all of the research ahead of time, it's been hard to try and relax on TikTok and then think, like, oh my God, one day I could be watching a video and it's this creator talking about all the negative things in my book that I didn't intentionally put there, or just how much they hated it and don't recommend it. Which is why, again, the debate is, are reviews for readers or for authors? And as a reviewer, I've reviewed books since I was in college, since I think I started my first blog in 2011, 2012. I think they're for readers, but I understand that authors most of the time are also in the same space, and we all share the internet together. and coming across a review of your own work could happen. And that's something I have to sort of mentally prepare for. But it's just been, there's like other things going on too that are making me reflect and sad. Like the world is really sad. There's a lot of really bad stuff going on. And that's contributing to my mood too, of course. But it is bizarre to have my book out there with beta readers and to not be working on it and to try and just focus on reading something for the enjoyment of reading it, or scrolling on TikTok for the enjoyment of just scrolling and hearing other people discuss things. And instead of having a break from my own work, I'm just constantly thinking, oh my God, like it's not good enough. People are going to hate it. It's going to be a book people are warned against reading. I don't know. I think I'll feel both better and worse after I talk to my beta readers, because I can see all of the things I still need to work on, but I knew I was at a place where I needed to stop and send my book out to someone who was not me to read it and to either confirm what I'm already thinking or to suggest something new, so that when I start editing, because I could edit forever and ever and ever and just go in circles. I need some outside feedback. But I am so nervous. Like, it's the first time I've ever written something. And what if they hate it? It's a possibility. But I have time to work on it. I haven't submitted it to any agents. So even if they do hate it, I have time to fix it. I'm going to try and finish this book today. I'm almost there. I'm just chugging along. I wish I was having a better time. I don't know what it is about it. I'm going to have to look into some reviews to see what other people think. I don't know if it's my mood just contributing to me not being able to have a good time. I don't know if it's because as I read this, I'm just overthinking my own work. I don't know. That's where I'm at. I'm having a rough emotional day. And since these videos are a mix of like reading vlog and also part of my writing journey, I thought it would be important to document this. So here I am, documenting it with my very greasy, dirty hair that I need to wash today. But anyway, let me try and finish this book. Juhani has been such a big help as my bookmark, and I can't wait to pick out another bookmark when we get to the next book. See you there. It's only like a few hours later. I am about to eat dinner, some avocado toast, and I'm gonna then start my next book, 3 Kinds of Lucky. I did find what I think will be a great bookmark for this one. The one I actually wanted was a twice bookmark, but they are packed up for an event I have in 2 days. So I couldn't use that bookmark, but I did find The Boys, Hakanyan. I think it's the right colors. I think it looks like magic is happening with it being all like whoosh, 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 all faded and stuff. What is that called? I don't know the photograph word for it. Anyway, this is my next read. This is my next bookmark. I'm going to have dinner. I already wrote my review of Faebound. Turns out I'm not the only person who felt like something was missing. Just felt kind of flat. Wasn't it? Wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I still stand by. Some parts of that writing was so beautiful, and I really enjoyed it. But there were other parts I mentioned in my review where it wasn't distinct enough, where I couldn't tell like which character point of view we were in, and that was kind of challenging. So anyway, finished that book. Happy to have read it and have experienced it. really excited for this one. I hope we have a good time. I hope I can pinpoint why I'm enjoying it if I am enjoying it, or why I'm not if I'm not. I'll bring you updates soon. Goodbye. Hello, friends. Good morning. It is a new day. I started this book last night. I stopped on chapter 4, which is page 47, so barely scratched the surface, really. I'm enjoying the premise so far. I am enjoying the writing a lot. Um, the writing itself is pretty digestible, but it's it's taking me a long time to actually read each chapter, especially when discussions about the magic are happening, because this is a completely new to me magic system. And with any like new fantasy world, whether we are introducing a new political system or a new magic system or like a new religion or gods or whatever, it takes my brain a little bit to input the information, and instead of reading at the rate that I normally do, I like literally read every single word, and it annoys me that that happens. But normally by the time I'm at page like 80, that has gone away and I can just sort of like cruise through it. There has been some light sections of info dumping which are necessary and make sense because we're on page 47, but those, my brain just can't handle it, and I've been skimming over them and just hoping that if there was important information and it comes up later, I will pick it up later. So that's my reading experience so far. I honestly don't even remember when we read the synopsis together in my library haul video, what exactly is going to happen, but based on the cover and also based on our first sort of chapter or two, I am going to predict that our main character is going to encounter Shadow, and it's going to recognize her because she already had Shadow inside of her when she was trying to clean up a dross spill, which is basically like magical trash. Like if a mage performs magic, they leave a residue or goo or something behind, and not everyone can see it. And she is the sweeper because she can see it and touch it, and anyone else who touches it is cursed with bad luck for the extent of how big the goo was. If it's a really big goo, you could die. If it's a smaller goo, you might break your pen and have ink all over your hand. It just depends. And she can touch and remove the goo without having any ill luck. But what also is incorporated, which is really cool, is ghosts. And that whole like, I watch a lot, or watch and watched, past tense, a lot of ghost hunting shows, specifically Watcher Entertainment, the Ghoul Boys. Though it was pretty disappointing what happened when they tried to launch their own network, and Stephen Lim was like, anyone can afford $5. It's like, in this economy, my guy. Anyway, what a tangent. But it was super exciting to see that if you do magic and leave your goo, your dross, and don't clean it up, and it happens to be in a place where a ghost is like stuck, then it's magnified and the energy is even more intense. So not only do we have like magic, but we also have ghosts to deal with. And then we have a third layer on top called Shadow, which is like the final boss almost of like the levels of the scary, spooky stuff. And I find that so fun because I didn't know we were going to have ghosts. I just thought it was going to be magic and the goo after the magic, but there's like so much more happening, and I'm really excited. Like, I told you guys this was the one I was kind of the most excited about once I heard the synopsis, and I'm just crossing my fingers that it goes well. I don't know how I'm gonna feel about the characters. They're supposed to be in their mid 20s, mid to late 20s, but some of the scenes are reading a little bit younger, a little more YA. I don't remember actually if this author normally writes in YA, so maybe that's why it's coming off that way to me. But anyway, I'm really crossing my fingers that the rest of this story just gets better and better. I'm kind of predicting this could be a 5-star read. Anyway, I'm going to go do some stuff. I don't know how much reading I can do today. It is the day before my last big event of the summer. This is like kind of the biggest event of the summer too, and that is tomorrow. So I'm going back and forth finishing projects, making sure everything is packed, making sure everything is charged, making sure I'm resting because it's an outside event. Anyway, that is it from me. This vlog is going to be so very long. I might only do these first 2 books and then do the next 2 books in their own video, so it's not just like forever and a year. So I'm gonna go, maybe read a little bit, maybe rest. I just had breakfast. I just cut some bookmarks, laminated them. Time to rest. I'll see you guys later with an update. Hello, friends. It has honestly been a hot minute since I have last discussed this book with you that I was reading, 3 Kinds of Lucky. I don't remember. I think I was only like 40 pages into it, and then I had another night where I got to 120 pages into it. The last clip you probably saw was me having a little summer day in my inflatable pool. out in the sun for the first time literally all year. I normally start my like summer lizard time, as the girls call it. I start my lizard time in like March because I'm in Florida. It's really hot here. But I didn't get lizard time this year until July because I had surgery in the spring, and you really can't get wet for a while, and you shouldn't. And also, you just don't want to. I've been on bed rest literally April. What's after April? March, April, May, June, and now we're here in July, and I'm finally starting to do some stuff. Anyway, some of that stuff includes finishing this book. I must have read close to like 200 pages in my little inflatable pool. And this was a predicted 5-star read. Didn't get that right. Really unfortunate. I was having a very good time, but I think something that held this back for me personally is that I just kept thinking, this is science fiction. To me, it's my. I'm going to put it down because I'm getting a headache from holding it. When I think of science fiction, I either think of space or I think of fantasy that includes a lot of scientific thought and experiment and just like the science aspect of science fiction. That's what this book became. Because while it does deal with magic in a very unique way I've never read about before, very cool, so much of this is science-based. Like, we're on a college campus, which was a pro in the beginning, because I love sort of like school academic vibes in books, so that was a pro. The college campus turned into sort of like a laboratory setting. There were rats at one point that were being experimented on. There were a lot of discussions about making the trash, the dross, the used up particles that happen after you've done magic, turning them inert or inactive and heating them and cooling them. Lots of science. There was so much science. I notoriously did real bad in science in school. So, I'm all about magic. I love magic. I love fantasy. And this was just so much science for me personally. I enjoyed the writing. I did enjoy the characters. I will say, though, and I think this might just be a personal take because I was so like turned off by how scientific it was that then I sort of just detached from the story overall. But I didn't connect emotionally to the characters in the way that I wanted to. There was one character, spoilers ahead, who turned out to be a villain, and I didn't care. I had like no emotions about it. I was just like, okay. And then the whole premise is that she falls for the guy she had a crush on in high school or elementary school or whatever. And it's like I just kept waiting for that build up and for her to fall for him. And like he clearly still liked her, but the whole time I was just like, cool. Like, whatever. You get together, you don't. Okay. The biggest spoiler I will give is that there is a pet dog who dies in a pretty gruesome death in order to progress the plot. And I don't know. That's not my favorite thing. I kind of like it's on the cover, so like I kind of get it, but I wish we could have gotten to this shadow dog in a different way. That was also not my, that's the one thing that did actually make me emotional and I teared up about. Me continuing to like animals more than people. Well, okay, that tracks. So, yeah, this is not a bad book. This story is good. It's so creative. It is really, really in depth. There are like good dialogue, there's just good descriptions and setting. And gosh, it's set in Arizona, and they just kept saying how hot it was. And I was like, I feel it as I'm reading this. I could feel how hot they were. So it's not a bad book. It's not a good book for me. I am not Bill Nye the Science Guy. This was not it for me. And that's okay. I tried something new and I learned. That's another thing I keep realizing. I maybe have very specific taste in what I like to read at this point right now in my life. And I think that could be a whole video discussion because I keep just thinking about it, and I don't want to go into it too much here because that's not the point of this video. But the more that I'm doing this specific reading challenge and like trying to find comps for my own story, I'm reading that I have such specific reading tastes now, and I continue to narrow it down and narrow it down and narrow it down. So, like, this was too much science for me. But I've read other science fiction books where it's just a fun ride, and I don't care about the science part of it, and I don't care how the ship works or how they grow plants in space. Like, great. It's keeping them alive. Great. I'm not even thinking of like a specific story. I've just read science fiction in the past where I'm just like, I'm here for the ride. I'm not going to conceptually understand how any of it works. I don't need to. This was a lot of science and experimenting and talking about the experiments, and it was all very important to follow along and understand. And I'm not saying I didn't understand it because I followed along. I just didn't enjoy that. I didn't enjoy that aspect of it. It just reminded me of being in chemistry labs and having to like do all these experiments and get all the math right and like be really careful with putting one liquid into another liquid in a beaker and like the safety materials, and that was like not fun for me. So having to read about the magical version of that, also not very fun for me. So I actually have to go tomorrow or the next day, pick up 2 new books from the library, which will mean I'll be back to 4 because I still have the 2 books from the initial library haul. And these 2 books are both dragon books, I think. At least one of them is. One of them has a dragon on the cover, the other one has fire. I don't remember. Hopefully, I'll be getting closer to finding some comps, and hopefully, I'll be getting closer to figuring out what I actually enjoy reading. And it's not something or a challenge I've given myself before. I just kind of pick things and read them, and now I'm being like very specific and sort of analytical with it. And I think that's interesting and fun, and I am learning a lot about myself in the process. So, do I think people will like this? Yes. Did I like it? Not my favorite. I think I would give it 3 stars only because I didn't have a good time, not because it's not a good book. Does that make sense? I give my star ratings based on vibes alone. But for both of the books I mentioned in this video, I will have full written reviews posted on my blog, readwithme.sashamarie.com. My words when I type, much better than my words when I speak. So if you would like some more in-depth information on what I thought about both of these books, you can check that out. I'm probably, maybe, going to start an entirely new reading vlog with the remaining library books that I have, potentially going to the library to pick the new ones up. I don't know how much I'm going to film, but that is the end for this video. I have so many clips I need to piece together. I'm happy you were here for the ride. If you have read these books, let me know what your thoughts were. And I think that's it. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching. I need to go to sleep because it is like midnight-ish. See you later. Goodbye.